Okay, we're going to map some data, and then we're going to practice the budget and that marriage saving formula. And if we get it finished with that, we might go on to the Google spreadsheets, which is the next assignment. I'll put a maybe on that. Want to be sure you understand this mapping. It's very useful. Not in the textbook, so watch carefully. Now, what we're going to be doing, you need a file over in the assignment. So let's go over to the course, and down underneath assignments. Yeah.
Were we going to finish the river data thing, or were we supposed to turn that in?
I think that's ready to turn in.
Oh.
Yeah, just the graphs is all I want. Yeah.
Okay.
What, the one we did last month?
Yep, yep,
Turn it in right here.
yep. So we're down here, past the Word, past PowerPoint, past Excel 1, 2, and 3, budget names with address map. So I'm going to, yes?
Is it the one due on the 14th, Excel river data analysis folder?
Nope, the practice, right below that. Look up on the screen there. That's the one I'm at. Practice budgets. See, right there. That's the one I'm looking.
The river data?
That's the river data one that we did last time. We're done with that. You can upload that. You can upload that to there if you have that. This is one we're doing today. So you got that? Yeah, the river data, that's where you upload the river data file we did Monday. This is the one for today. Practice budgets. Okay, and if you open that, it has a file for you to start with. So you don't have to go and get data like we did in the river data. That's old stuff now. I am giving you some data to work with, but the main thing is we're going to start with that one. So student names and locations. Sadly, unless I figure out populi, I can't get a list of the current students, cities, states, but I have from previous semesters basically a list of students, names, and states. Not private data, so I'm not violating any privacy laws here. I'm going to save that over to my cs101 folder. And I might as well put on it my last name. I'll put the name of my fictitious student, Smart. So I'll call it Smart. Student names dash locations. And I'm going to save that in my documents folder. Now you may already see it in your downloads folder if you just click on it, and if it automatically downloads, then go look in your downloads folder for it. Now that I have it here, I can open it from there, or I can open it from where I saved it to. So if you put it in your downloads folder, you have to browse over to your downloads folder and find it. So I'm going to go to where I saved it to, over in my document, cs101. There is the student names and location. I'm ready to open that. Now in Chrome, when you download stuff, it shows up right there, and I could have clicked there too. And I like to often to click on that little arrow and say show in folder. And then it shows me my folder. And there's the file I just downloaded. Now I'm going to go ahead and click on that, or double click on that, for Excel to open that file up. Double click, and there is my file with some interesting data over here. And the thing we're going to learn about is this thing called 3D Maps Tours. What Excel can do for you, if it sees data in your table that has like a city and state, or even a zip code will work, I think, it will actually create for you a map of all those locations. So you have a listing of friends, listing of favorite disc golf courses throughout the United States, or Bible colleges, or libraries. If you have any map data, we can map this. And because the name is going to be interesting to us as well, of who that person is at that location, I don't want to just map a location. Now remember how we did pie charts and other things? We have to select our data first in order to map it. We want to do that here as well. We want to select through full name out to zip code. They have some long name for zip code. And then you could keep dragging down, or grab the slider and shift select the lower right corner to select all that data. So I selected from A1 and then either drag or slide down and shift select down in D208. So I have 207 names of wonderful people that I think were, might have been last fall's listing of students. Now comes the easy part. Now that we've selected the data, watch what Excel can do for us. I go over to Insert, and I click on 3D Maps. Not Maps, that gets me partway there, but 3D Map. Watch what happens when I click on 3D Map. Now you may get a little message that pops up to say, like, you want to enable 3D Maps or something. You want to click Yes on that. Now this is my big worry. Are the Mac people, is it going to work the same for the Macs? That might be an issue here.
My keyboard's messing up.
I can tell you downloaded it. I can see it right there.
It was like loading slow. So
You downloaded it 3 times. Good job.
Yeah, it was loading slow. So where do I go?
It's up at the top. You got 3 copies of them.
No, I'm saying save it in the cs101.
Well, that's your river map data. That's the one you want to upload.
You already submitted to the budget thing, practice thing?
Yeah, okay, then you're good.
Yeah.
Okay, now, here's the one you just opened. Yep.
Oh, okay.
Yep. Oh, and at the top there, what's that message say at the top? What does this guy say? Yeah, enable. Yeah, go ahead and make sure you say enable editing there if the little message shows up at the top.
And how do you use the map?
I'm going to do that next. Find a file.
Yeah.
Select the range. Grayed out for you. Thinking about something? What if you click somewhere else? Did something happen? Oh, you didn't enable editing. You have to enable editing. Always enable editing. And the thing is, it sees, oh, that came from the internet, and maybe there's a security problem. So now do the same thing. Yeah, enable editing because Excel is very paranoid. Or your security. Someone else had a hand up? Yeah. So let's see. You're on a Mac and you don't get 3D maps. Let's try the map instead and see what it does, I guess. So maybe you're using the 2019 version? Yeah, see what it produces for you in the maps if you don't have 3D maps on a Mac.
Put this on a separate sheet.
I would, yeah. Yeah, I'll show you. I'll do that again. Remember, just like when we did pie charts, you have to select the data to then for Excel to know what data. You didn't enable editing. You need to enable editing. Click anywhere on the worksheet. Enable editing. The yellow bar at the top. There's a yellow bar at the top. Enable editing. Yep. Because you didn't select the data. You don't want to insert map. You got to select the correct data first. Yeah, the regular map doesn't know what to do as well as the 3D maps. Yeah. So I'm going to go through this selecting the data again, just to make it clear what you got to do. So I could close 3D maps and come back, select the data. Click an A1. Click A1 to select it. Slide down to the last line of data. Shift, select, that selects that whole range. Now Maps, 3D Maps, knows what data you want to map. And I click 3D Map. And since I had started it, I'm going to go ahead and click New Tour. Map calls them New Tours. It automatically takes that data you had selected and sees, hey, I can find locations on the map, and I can zoom in and out on that map using my little mouse wheel. And if I click on any dot, I see that that's the location of that dot.
Where's the 3D map thing?
Where is the 3D map thing? Insert.
every time I try to copy,
You haven't selected the data yet.
it's right here. It's stuff up here, right?
Click in A1. Okay, now slide down. We're not, no, we're not fill handling. The small x is the fill handle. We want to select.
Okay.
It's like I did. Grab the slider over on the far right, slide all the way down to the,
The slider.
where is the slider? It's over there. You're getting warm. Knowing where the slider is very important.
It's right here. I slide up a little bit. Like that. Is that what you're talking about?
Nope.
See what the slider is.
What is that thing?
This?
See what that does?
Okay.
That's what we call the slider.
Okay.
Click and drag that all the way to the bottom. Okay, now shift. You see where your shift key is? Click the shift key and click on that cell right there. No. Just click once now without the shift key. Now slide back up to the top. No, slide. Yeah, that'll work. And shift click on A1. Shift, click. See how that data is all selected? Now insert tab.
Insert tab. Where's my
The
insert?
tabs across the top of the page. We
Okay.
call these tabs. These are called tabs.
Okay.
And this is the tab called insert. This is the draw tab, the page layout tab, the formula tab, the data tab. These are all tabs. There's the insert tab. 3D map is right there. Enable. It's working. It's going to be coming in a second here. And look, it has produces a map. Now we're going to be working more from here. So you got the map going now. Okay? Question over
When I'm
there?
saying this, I'm trying to enable it.
Because you selected all the way out to column E, which has nothing in it. Only go out to column D in your selection.
So I just use this, right?
That would be the fill handle, and that will be copying things. You don't want to use the fill handle. You want to select A1, and then go down to the bottom, and shift select D, whatever number it is. D. See the zip code section? You want to select the zip code part.
D.
See where column D? These are the column names. A, B, C, D.
D.
D. That's the cell, that's column D. You're right here, you're in column C. You want to select on that. Now we have the correct data. Now 3D Maps will be happy.
Alright.
And it's thinking, and it's filling in the map. There you go. Okay, so back to my 3D maps. Well, then we're going to do Macs. Okay, Mac people, try Maps, and then we'll come back to you. Use the Maps. If you want to go online and see if there's a way to enable it for Macs, I doubt it. If you see it, it's not going to be available. There you go. Microsoft's messing up the Mac people again. They just don't want you having Macs. So if you're on a Mac, try the Maps thing and see how far you get. Don't worry if it doesn't work. I didn't realize that was not available on the Mac. I'm going to have to modify my teaching just for the Macs. And I like Macs, so I don't want to diss out on the maps. Okay, so back to 3D Map. It remembers the tours that I did before. So I'm going to click on the first one I started. They call these tours. Now, right now, it's a really cool map, but it only has the city and state when I click over the dot, when I hover over the dot. I want to see who that person is that's at that location, because I know back in my data I have the name of the person, and I see in the field list there's a thing called full name. How can I add their name to be what shows up when I click on the button? Watch what I can do. I can come down here to layer options, customize what they call the data card. Customize data card. Now I've played with this a lot, so to keep you from having to suffer through figuring this out. And maybe there's a manual somewhere that helps you. But customize the data card. I click on that, and I can then add a field, and I want to add the field full name. And then that shows up. Oh, that's what's going to show up on the data field. Let's add the zip code too, just to see how that works. Let's add postal code address. And I click OK. And now watch what happens when I hover over a data field. Oh, let's say, oh, Jonathan Jacob lives there. Oh, who lives there? Bethany Dewhurst. So now I can see, oh, multiple people live in those places. And so I can map city, state. This may be kind of scary to you that people can do this with the data that's out there on the internet, and you should be properly concerned. But your data is out there in the world, and this is what people can do. They want to know where you live. If your name is in a database somewhere out there, and that's where we're going to be getting into databases in our next section, this is what they can do. Very powerful to be able to just say, oh, I get a list of addresses and names. I can locate them on my map, send protesters to their house, send gifts to them, go stalk them, bring presents to them. You don't know what their purpose is, but that's the way of the information age that you're in. Your name, and notice it, all I got was a city, state. I don't know the actual address of these people, but finding their name and address. Look at that. From the zip code, it looks like it got pretty close, even though it's well, actually, that's the center of Asbury. So the map differentiates center of Asbury versus Dubuque, and see a lot of people living right there in Dubuque. Well, this is old data from last semester, but of course I'm not releasing the full street address. I guess I haven't played with that. If I had the full street address, I think it would actually maybe take me to like a Google Earth and actually show me the locations of your house. That would be even more scary. But at least right now it only puts you in like the geographic center of Dubuque. But pretty slick what you can do with Excel. And I can even go around the world and see the little dots of students from all the way on the other side of the earth. It's like a Google Earth type view available here in Excel. Now, just to practice that one more time before we then get on to our marriage saving formula and budget practice, I'm going to do this one more time, this time getting data from the list of libraries, including the Emmaus Bible College Library. So I can close 3D Maps. It remembers all the tours that you have started. So next time I come back to 3D Maps, it sees the tours that I have made by starting 3D Maps. Okay, now how do I get the library data? Well, if we go back over to Schoology, we see there is a text file with the libraries. I believe that I could, well, if I click on that, it should just download it, and I'm choosing to ask it to where to download. I'm downloading it to my cs101 folder. Now for you, if it doesn't ask, remember that will be in your downloads folder. Saving that, and in Chrome, I love this. I can just click on this to open it, or click on this to show in folder. I'm just going to click on it because I know it's a text file that I want to look at the data. Here is my text file using Notepad. What do I do to get all the data copy pasted to Excel? Control A is the select everything button. I could also do edit select all. I think, is there select all? Yeah, there's edit select all as well. And I do now Control C to copy, or edit copy. See, Control C copy. And now I come back over to Excel, and I'm going to go to a new sheet. I don't want to mess this sheet up. I'm going to click on a new sheet plus new worksheet, and I'm going to Control V paste. And if you want, you can double click on any border to auto fit my columns, just so I can see the data decently. Now notice the data is selected right now. I don't think I need to go select it again. Because it's selected, I can automatically start 3D map, and it should map that new data. Let's see what happens. Click 3D map, and I'm going to do a new tour because this is new data. And look at that, it's populating a map with, I think there's a couple thousand lines of libraries across the world, or across the United States. And what I did, I just went to an online website that I just said library location data. Remember, there's data about any subject you want that you can find a location data concerning. Now, what I want to do, let's see if I hover over, let's go to Dubuque here on the map. Let's see, let's zoom into Dubuque. Oh, look at that, Emmaus. Well, I don't know who that is. It just says Dubuque. I have a feeling that's the Emmaus Bible College Library, but I need to see the name. Remember how we got the name to show up? I have to go to Layer Options, Customize, and I can add the name of what I'm finding. And now when I hover over that, look at that. There's the Emmaus Bible College Library. Now I did the work of going and finding the data and putting that in that text file, but Excel does the work of mapping every one that I had imported or copy pasted into that file for you. And I only did the A's and the E's in their entire directory of the libraries of the United States. Question?
When I'm pasting this stuff into Excel, it's not auto sorting into different rows. Could you show us how to do that?
Auto sorting into rows?
Or when you pasted it, it won't let me start a map from what I'm pasting.
Okay, let me see. When I pasted it, it was automatically selected.
Yeah, I don't know. It's just pasting as it was from that text file.
Okay, then just go ahead and manually select it by just dragging it through.
Yeah.
Okay. Now Control A, selects everything. Now Control C will copy it. And now go to Excel and do a new worksheet. There you go. And paste, Control V. Wow, yours pasted in a strange way. What did it do that? Let's try that again. So you did a select on one cell, Control V. For some reason, it's separating it out into different columns. Is that happening to you?
Yeah. Something's happening with
It didn't do it for me. Why is it doing it for you? This is something strange. Just go back to the file. Boy. So I do the select all, Control A, copy, back to Excel, new sheet. Why would it paste differently for me than it does for you?
I think my computer messed up.
That is irritating. Is there a way to get it to paste all into one column? Let's try something here. Let's see. What if I just select the column and do a paste? No, can't do that. Maybe I have to right-click Paste Special. Let's try Paste Special. Paste Special as text. Still wants to put in separate columns. Boy, this isn't even a Mac and it's messing me up. The paste is not working the way it did for me, which was so easy.
See, yours put in a different column.
Yeah. No, mine put the name in a column and the city in a column.
Yeah, mine doesn't put in any columns. It's just all one.
One column? Well, that's a pain too. All right. Gonna have to dump this assignment if it's not working the same for everybody. Why would that do that for you? I'm so sad. Let's see. If I go to info, I just want to check to see what you got here. Office 365 apps for enterprise. Huh. Well, don't worry about it. We'll do the next thing, and don't worry about the maps. Just put a little note. If it didn't paste right, the map didn't work, just put pasting problem. Because we want to get to the budget table, that's more important. This was more of a little extra thing. Don't worry about the maps if it doesn't work. We're going to go on to the next thing. I'm sad that seemed so easy, and I thought, hey, this is pretty slick. let's show you this nice feature, and now the feature is breaking on some people's. Now for the Mac people, while I'm here, I'm just going to explore here. If I just did maps, I do have the data selected. Oh, I have to have the data selected. Let's see if I have the data selected and then try maps instead of 3D maps. This is for my Mac friends. Do Control C. No, I don't even have to do it Control C. I just have it selected. If I go to maps, let's see what happens if I do this. I get kind of a worthless map, don't I? Alright, the maps failed. Don't worry about the maps. If you got a 3D map, well, you can rejoice that it worked for you. Can't explain why it didn't work the same for somebody else. But now let's do the practice of a basic budget table. Before we leave Excel behind and do Google worksheets, let's create a new worksheet and let's call it budget. Budget. Now I've been promising you the, why do I have an, oh, I renamed the wrong one. That's the sheet. I'm going to delete that sheet. That would be the libraries. Make a new worksheet. There we go, a new blank worksheet. I'm going to call this the budget worksheet. And let's go ahead and drag that to the left to make it our first worksheet, because that's the most important one in this whole assignment, is how to review how we do a budget and get that marriage saving formula going. So in this marriage saving formula practice, we're not going to worry about a title. How about we go, let's put your name on it. Let's just put Smart Family Budget. You put your last name there instead of Smart. Now, for our budget, we're going to do for a budget for the year. So let's start in column B and let's do the month, January. We're going to start in January, make a budget. And this time we do want to have it handle the next months of the year. So drag all the way out to December. Oh, there. Have it automatically fill in my months for me. Now here's the thing we haven't done in the textbook. We want the balance of our bank account. We're going to start with a balance. And let's give ourselves, how about $10,000? Anything above $10,000, I would seriously consider putting that in savings rather than checking. And we're going to have income in a row. I'll zoom in here for you. And what kind of items do we have for income? Well, we have a job number 1. And we have job number 2. So this could be husband and wife with different jobs, husband with 2 different jobs, or wife with 2 different jobs, or single person with 2 different jobs. And because they're part of income, let's go ahead and indent that by clicking the indent. Now the projected income for job number 1, let's just say each month we're getting $500. Job number 2, let's say we're getting, it's a pretty decent job. We're getting $2,000 a month for that job. So let's go ahead and do a total income. Using our auto sum skills, 1 click and it sums those up. Now remember, I could have just done equal B6 plus B7 as well. And I have noticed, let's see if it works, I have noticed if you put a comma instead of a colon, I think it will also work. But if you do commas, you have to name every cell. If you want a range, it's easiest to do the colon. But colon or comma will work between the 2 cells I'm adding up. Now this is just an example budget. Let's go ahead now and do, I'm gonna double click on the home tab just so I have more room to see. Let's do expenses. The first expense is going to be to the church. But this one is going to be an important formula that is based on how spiritual we are. So let's put down here, where should we put our tithing spiritual? How about put that at the top? we'll have a cell at the top saying percent to God. And we're going to be super spiritual. We're going to call that 11%. Or if you want to just call that tithing, which implies only 10%. This is the percentage that we're going to give to the Lord in our first list on our expenses. I was put to shame when I was reviewing my father's accounting and found out that he actually, most of his life, gave 15 to 20% in his budget. I have his budget tables that he would write by hand. And I thought, man, I think I'm at 10%. So, what would this formula be? Well, it would be equal to, and this is where the controversy comes, some people think that tithing is a percentage of your balance. Would that be correct? No. That'd be very spiritual, and if you like to do that, you could, but most people consider tithing to be the percent of your income. So total in times the percentage that I want to give to the Lord. And that would be that cell. And what's important about that cell as I plan to copy this formula to the rest of the year? Got to get those stickies in there. And if you don't want to worry about which sticky matters, you can just hit F4 and it will put both stickies in for you. But the sticky that really matters is the sticky on the D, because I'm planning to copy this formula to other columns, and I want that D column to stick because that's a number that's a fixed assumption. And so we should see a little bit more than $250 for my 11% to the church. And that's other expenses. Your typical expenses are, we'll go largest to smallest. Your mortgage or rent. I'll call it housing, just in case you're renting instead of buying. Housing, and we'll call that, let's see, you got a decent home. Your average rent, and Dubuque is probably low. Let's go ahead and do $800. That's probably low. Housing, of course, what comes next? You got to have food to eat. And if you add a few kids, you're easily getting up there. Let's go ahead and do $500. That's about $15 a day. And of course, we got to pay for our gas and repairs. Let's just call it automotive. We'll just call it auto. And estimate that maybe 200. Depends on how much you travel. And let's see what other. Oh, of course, we must have entertainment. Can't live without entertainment, but we want to budget our entertainment. We play, but we control our play. And let's say $100. Now the rest you've got internet fees and phone. Should we call it, we'll just call it phone. And how about phone and internet? 200? That's probably a low number. And I think that's enough expenses. Let's go ahead and indent all our expenses. I'm going to go to the Home tab and click the indent. And of course, we want to total expenses. I'll call that total out. And we have our friendly auto sum there for us on the Home tab. And this is where I could use lots of commas or use the colon to just tell me the first and last cell that get added together. And there is my total expenses. I'm looking pretty good so far. My total in is larger than my total out. Now comes the moment of, what's that? The summation of the cells, all the expenses cells, B10 to B15 in my case. Now if you're on different rows, don't worry. Just make sure well, I just did the here, I'll show you how I do it again. Remember, we go the easy way. Click on the cell and then go to the auto sum to insert that summation. That's the easiest way. And no phones are all right. You're watching? Good. Good. And then you get that. You could type that as well. You could type equal sum and then parenthesis. Now, the marriage saving formula is what is the ending balance. What formula goes in the ending balance? Anyone dare to attempt the marriage saving formula? It's required of you to graduate. It's required of you to get a marriage certificate. I think they're requiring that now. You get a marriage license.
Balance minus your total out.
Balance minus total out?
Balance plus total.
You were close. It's balance. I forgot to show the balance up there. Remember, we have a beginning balance way up there. So don't forget, you've got your beginning balance. So I type equal, and I can click on beginning balance plus income minus expenses. Study that formula. That will save your marriage from anxiety and stress.
How do you do that by clicking instead of typing?
Just by when I tap the equal, if I just point at a cell, it'll put that cell's address where that cursor is.
But it's not clicking on my.
If it doesn't do the clicking for you, then you just gotta type it. I'm not sure why it wouldn't be doing that for you. Study that formula well. It will save you from stress. It may save you from bankruptcy. Okay. Now I hit enter, and let's see. I should be something. Let's see. We got more income than expenses, so we should be up. We should be above 10,000, like maybe $400. Let's see. Oh, look at that. We made additional $425 to put into our checking account. So study this well. We did income, and we totaled our income. Then we did expenses, and we totaled our expenses, making it a summation. Then we did the ending balance is beginning balance minus or plus the income minus the total expenses gives me my ending balance. If that formula doesn't make sense to you, study it carefully and make sure that you understand. I add to my balance what I get from my job. I subtract all my expenses to determine then my ending balance. Now here's a tricky one. What's the beginning balance for February? Do I fill handle over 10,000? That's what you're going to want to do. But no. We want the beginning balance in February to be the same as the ending balance in January. Now, I don't go type 10425. I want this to be equal to what is in that cell, and I see that's down over there in B18. So I just do equal B18. I can point and click or type B18. You are allowed to have a cell simply be equal to what's in another cell. You don't have to have a plus minus. You can just say, hey, what's in here is the same as what's over there. And you don't do copy paste. You say equal reference to that cell. And I hit enter. And look at that. It's the ending balance of January. Is there any more work to do to get the rest of the budget? Unless we're planning on a percent increase in our income, we can drag through all of these numbers and fill handle over because we prepared them with the reference to the absolute reference to that. And let's see what I get for my budget. Remember, I get the solid plus, drag all the way out to December. And don't panic if you see your ending balance is wrong here, because I haven't yet fill handled over the beginning balance because that was in a separate column. Now also fill handle over the beginning balance, and I should show a budget of increasing balance, saving up, putting that into my 401k. Start early, start young, and you will be on your way to a good retirement if you plan this. This is not only your merit saving formula, it's your retirement saving formula if you keep track of these things. Now remember how we did that. First, and it doesn't matter what order I do. I could say, well, that's the correct formula. Yes, I'm going to fill handle that over to December. And of course, we don't have a beginning balance yet because we have not yet fill handled these over. And all we have to do is just make sure we got January right, and then we can get the rest of them correct. And check to see that, let's see, your expense, your church expense, remember that's the one that we use the absolute referencing for? If that's coming out to be 0, that means we messed up on our absolute referencing. Watch what happens if we don't have the stickies there. Say I take the stickies away. If I fill handle that over, my formula is going to be moving with me, and of course I'm getting 0 for the rest of those months because I have moved instead of stuck to column E. That's what the effect of not putting the absolute reference. Everything else does move with the month, so we don't have to worry about stickies on anything but that one. So I'm going to go back to this one and fix the stickies by hitting F4 while I'm there on the D1 and hit enter, and now fill handle, and it corrects my formula for me. Now if you want to be super spiritual, increase your percent and you will see the effect on your budget. You could say, what if analysis? What if I did that 15%? Well, we would still be in the positive. We're still going positive in our direction of building our balance, putting it in savings. Is that making sense for you? Now this is the really basic thing. I guarantee you're going to have something like this on the final, besides some other things in Excel. But you will be given a balance. Now that we have our budget table completed, at least with the numbers correct, remember our accountants need to see numbers in nice dollars and cents. The easiest way to do that is to select through where we have numbers and put them at least in comma format. You'd be amazed how many people throw away 5 easy points on the final when they forget to put the numbers in comma format. It says format the numbers correctly. That's all that means. You don't have to worry about anything but selecting the numbers, putting it in comma format. Now that's looking nicer to my accountants. Just to practice what we did, let me show you a nice trick to make the table look so nice without having to color it ourselves. I can.
Change to 50% or keep it 11?
What's that?
You keep it at 11 or change it to 50%?
You can change it to whatever. I'll change it back to 11%. Now watch what I can do with a table that's decently formatted for the numbers. I can go to my Home tab and I can go to Format as Table. I don't know why they skipped this in the book. It's such a nice feature, but it is a little confusing. Let's see what happens when I can do Format as Table. Look at the formats that are available to me in tables. I can pick all sorts of color themes, alternating colors, header at the top, darker. So I'm gonna pick. Let's see. I'm gonna pick this one, a medium, and I'll go purpley. The one thing that confuses this, and I'm going to go, yep, that's the data that I want to choose as my table. Yes, my table has headers. I click OK. The one confusing thing is it puts these little arrowy things up in the top row. The easiest thing to fix that is before you're done selecting the table and changing the format, just click on this thing called Convert to Range, and then it converts it to a normal looking table without those goofy little arrow thingies at the top. That's a whole nother thing. So when you get it formatted as table, I'll do that again. I select where my numbers are, format as table, choose a nice color format, and since I have headers, I'm going to choose one that has the headers. Yes, my table has headers, leave that okay. Last thing to do before I leave, convert to range. And yes. And now I have a lovely formatted table using the format as table. And it sort of gives me the the decent look without me having. I can always go back and customize, you know, total cells. I can separate my expenses a little bit from my income. I can put some numbers like I did in the book into accounting format, but most of the formatting is done by using format as table. It used to be in the textbook, and it was such a nice thing that you don't have to worry about alternate selecting rows and then inserting their colors, and format as table is the easiest thing. Okay, so what have we done? We did some playing around with maps. Some maps worked on yours, others didn't. Just remember that when we have maps, or when we have data of addresses, if we can get it to be pasted correctly into Excel, we can generate some really cool maps using that 3D map feature. And the maps feature on a Mac, apparently it doesn't work right. So if you have 3D map, give it a try. But the more important thing is doing a budget. Look how far we got in what 15 minutes, getting a nice chart after we got our budget numbers entered. And remember, with the budget, the marriage saving formula is beginning balance plus income minus expenses. Memorize that formula. Beginning balance plus income minus expenses. Your total income does not include your balance. Total income is the total of just the income. That's another mistake a lot of people make. They'd say total income is balance plus income. No, no, no. Total income is total income. Balance, ending balance, is balance plus income minus expenses. We are done with that. Save that. Upload it to Schoology. And have a wonderful day. I'm going to see if I can figure out that mapping. It looks like for our Mac people, all they have is this available. We'll see if we can get that working. I was all excited to show you 3D map. And that copy paste thing, I don't know why that messed up for you. Yeah, once you're uploaded,